Everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Where's Lonnie?
We do not have an engineer today. It's not really an engineering issue. Plus, he just has his knees replaced
I was going to say, was it a drink?
Both?
at the same
It was a
time.
drink, but I thought he'd show up.
Yeah, I still wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
Do we have an applicant to present?
Yes.
Make sure
Hi.
you read that.
Good evening.
Could you come up, sir?
Yes.
That would be appreciated.
And I have some a 4-page handout for
Okay.
each board. The site plan is the same site plan that was attached to our zoning application. So that is nothing new, but the stuff behind it is hopefully interesting and illustrative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you mind if I sit or should I stand?
You can certainly sit. Just please make sure you project so everyone
Sure.
can hear.
Okay, so my name's Brandon Savrin. I am the real estate attorney for Veterinary Emergency Group and have done some work for them on other properties in Pennsylvania in the past. I'm with a small law firm in Center City. So with me here are Bill Grimmel, who is with Brixmore, the landlord at 200 Ridge Pike, which I believe is called the Plymouth Square Shopping Center. And I have Ashley Schultz, thank you, who works for Veg, as I'll call them. And Veg is a proposed tenant. I believe by this time, are you guys under a lease now? Has it been executed?
Yes.
Okay. And it's for a space to be demised at Plymouth Square that is on, you can see it on the site plan. It's not highlighted, but it has Veg's logo in it. So it's sort of would be, I'm trying to picture if I oriented this northward, it would be sort of the eastern leg of the shopping center, pointing towards Butler Pike, to the left of what is now the Planet Fitness and the Five Guys. And essentially, we are here because the use of being a veterinary practice is permitted by special exception, not in our district, which is the shopping center district under the township code, but in the commercial district that much of our block of Ridge Pike is covered by. But we in the shopping center are not covered by the commercial district designation. So we're in the SC district instead. The code for that district is sort of funny. So it lists a number of permitted uses. We are not one of them. It then says that the zoning board, if it considers our proposed use to be similar in nature to those permitted in the shopping center district, can grant us a special exception to proceed with the use. If they don't consider our use to be similar in nature, they can, if they want, grant us a variance to proceed with the use. So I applied in our application for a variance because without going before the board, I can't know whether they consider it similar in nature or not to the proposed uses. So you can say I took the conservative approach, and we'll have that discussion before the board. We're really here to give all of you an opportunity to ask questions of these two organizations and to get a sense of what is going to go on at this business and in this space. But that being said, I can answer any questions insofar as you have them about why we believe we'd be entitled to a variance, but I don't want to suck the air out of the room and get into that if it's not of interest, but I'm here for that. So without further ado, Ashley, do you want to talk about Veg and what you guys do and what you would do at this location?
Sure. So as Brandon said, my name is Ashley Schultz. I am actually the director of design at VEG. So I handle the design, the layouts, overseeing the architect of record and engineers of record who put together the design of our spaces. VEG currently has 36 hospitals across the United States. We have 2 more opening this month. And we're continuing to expand across the country. As of the name of our company states, Veterinary Emergency Group, all we do is emergency. So we're not doing general practice. We're not taking away from any other general practice veterinary businesses in the area. In fact, we come in to support them, to be that emergency when they're booked up and can't see a patient who has a critical thing. They can refer to us. We can work with them. We can help with overnight care if they need it for any of their patients, that sort of thing. But all we do is emergency. We're not doing vaccines. We're not doing spays and neuters. We're there for the community on an emergency basis when their pets need it. And unfortunately, it happens more often than any of us would like, right? But it's definitely a need in the area and something that we have identified that we feel like we would be a huge asset. And so that's kind of what we do. You'll see on the floor plan in there that our hospital layout is pretty typical in terms of the types of rooms that you're going to see within a veterinary hospital. There are exam rooms, there's a surgery room, there's an x-ray room. We'll follow all the proper protocols for getting any health department approvals for that x-ray room. We do the lead shielding, all of that good stuff. And back of house has storage and staff break room area and that sort of thing. The one interesting thing you will see about us, and I don't know how many of you are pet owners, but if you are, you've had the experience of going to the veterinary hospital, taking your pet in, waiting in an exam room for a doctor to come see you, and then your pet often gets taken to the back and you have no idea what's going on with your pet. At VEG, we believe in keeping pet owners and their pet together at all times. So our hospital layout is structured as such. It not only helps the humans with knowing and seeing what's being done to their pet and understanding the process that they're having to go through, especially in a very stressful emergency situation, but it helps the pets too. We find that the pets are far less anxious, less agitated, because their people that they know and trust get to stay with them the entire time. So that's a brief scenario of what we're doing here. Happy to answer any questions related to that.
Any other comments at this time?
I'll just say, in terms of the space, for avoidance of doubt, I know that the shopping center has some tenant spaces that are in the rear of our portion of the shopping center on the lower level. So we are not one of those spaces. We face the parking lot in the front along Ridge and Butler. We do not face the homes in back. That the customer client access point would be from the front. I think that's it.
Thank you. Brittany, do you have anything?
Yes, I do. You said the zoning hearing board could grant a variance if the use is like other uses within this shopping center district, correct?
So I think my read of the code, and it's up to them to interpret ultimately, but my read of the code was that they can grant a special exception if they find, like
That
you
it's a
said, that it's
similar
similar.
What other uses in this district do you think it would be similar to? And I apologize because I have not looked at the uses permitted in this district, but what do you think this would be similar to?
So I have the code in my briefcase, but without looking at it, I think that it's, Dave, feel free to chime in if you want.
Is there other medical
I have the
uses
code sitting
permitted?
Yeah,
If there's other medical
there are
uses
no-
permitted, doctor's office, physician's
No.
offices?
So yes, professional offices, but
Okay.
like this township's code is pretty good at sort of classifying medical uses as distinct from other professional office use. So professional office use for a variety of other uses is permitted in the shopping center district, but it does not say, for example, that human medical doctors are permitted in the shopping center district. I would argue that, that nonetheless, we are basically conducting a client-facing professional services firm here, and that makes us similar to an office. The zoning board could come back to me and say, we don't buy that. It doesn't say medical in our code. And if that's the case, in support of getting a variance instead, my argument would probably be that there's not many places in the township, well, there's no places in the township, from my understanding, where veterinary use is permitted by right.
Okay.
Again, feel free to
No,
contact me.
Like
I believe the
reverse
commercial
zoning.
district, it's permitted by special exception, that's
Okay.
basically.
So
That's your hardship.
That's a
Yeah.
tough
Okay.
setup, and I think that these guys conducted a reasonable search of the entire sort of Plymouth Meeting, Conshohocken area, and just didn't find any suitable spaces where this would be either permitted by right or permitted by special exception. That would be our hardship.
Well, Blue Pearl, what had to come in for,
That's the commercial zoning district.
Right.
That's 625 Ridge.
right. But doesn't, was it PetSmart over at Metroplex? They have a band field in there. How does that flow?
Correct. I'd have to look into that.
I'm just saying that, I mean, it's
Yeah.
already, there's a band field across the street at your other center. Right. Virgin Butler and White Marsh too.
I want to say, don't hold me to this. I want to say it was kind of like accessory, but the way we treated it. But again, I'd
Okay.
have to look at the file to
Understood.
make sure. But
I'm just
I
saying
want
that
to say it
it's
was
sort of-
along the accessory lines. That's
Yeah,
what-
it transitions the use though, I mean, that's.
Correct. No, I get it.
I just had one additional question for you. I assume there's like drugs and all kinds of things for the animals, put them to sleep and whatnot. Do you have some sort of security system?
We do. We are required by law to have those types of systems. We have a variety of ways that we have controlled drug storage, the main one being a Cubex machine. I don't know if you're aware of what those are, but it's a locked drug storage machine, and you have to have a fingerprint, you have to have a witness, there's all these logs we have to keep, so long story short, there are very much, that is all under lock and key.
Video camera.
Video cameras that see who is accessing it, it can see their face, it can see their hands, all of that sort of thing. So, yeah, we do a lot of that. Great.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Bert?
Is it open 24 hours? Are you in
Yes.
business for 24 hours?
Yes, we are, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Emergencies are unpredictable.
Yes,
Gotta
they are.
be there when they need us.
Is it overnight stay?
It's hard to quantify overnight stay, right? The pets come in and they stay as long as we need them to, but we don't keep them any longer than we have to, right? So as soon as they're ready to be medically discharged to go home, they go home.
Go home.
We don't keep them for any length of time unless it's medically required for observation. But it's not a situation where like there's one person there staffing it overnight watching all the pets that may be there, because we are open and operational. We have multiple doctors there 24 hours a day, right? So like there may be pets there during overnight hours, but it doesn't mean it's like an overnight stay, if you will. Does that make sense what I'm describing?
That's what I think.
Thank you. Mark?
Are there any cremation facilities here?
No, there are not. We do have, for not trying to be morbid, we do have a chest freezer in the back, and we partner with an outside crematory that comes in and takes the bodies away on a regular basis as needed.
That's my only question.
Michael?
So are there any special accommodations for like cars coming in needing to park like right out front or anything like that? I mean, I'm thinking of an emergency room like an ambulance or something. So is there anything like?
Typically not. I mean, we have a very large parking lot here, which is super helpful. But a vast majority of our customers actually call us before they come in. We find that many of our customers come because they said, I called 3 other emergency veterinary practices around and they have 6-hour wait times. What's yours? You know, and like we pride ourselves on we're usually the ones that are able to service people in a shorter amount of time. Because our focus is solely emergency, many of those other places are doing emergency and specialty and all these other things. So the vast majority of our customers actually call us in advance, and we know who's coming and what their issue is, right? And so most of the time we can give them instruction about where to park or what to do. But generally speaking, we don't have issues with people needing like ambulatory entrance or services.
I don't know.
Yeah,
The air handling system.
yes.
What do you,
We do a lot of different things. The number one thing I will tell you about is that we exhaust a lot of our air to the outside so that we are not recirculating any stinky air, any contaminated air, things like that. So we supply air in, but exhaust it out, right? Rather than
15 changes
recirculate.
per hour?
What's that?
Is it 15 changes per hour?
Typically, yes, in the animal holding areas, we get up to 15 air changes per hour. Yeah. Very cognizant of that. We have engineers who have been designing like mechanical engineers who have been designing veterinary hospitals for decades that know the ins and outs of what it takes to make sure there's no odor, noise, or any extra thing created through the HVAC system.
Take it on the shopping
Mr. McGuire, just wanted to follow up. The way that the parking lot is, I think there's an existing like restriping underway of the parking lot.
Okay.
There's going to be, I believe, 4 handicap reserved spaces directly across the drive aisle from this storefront with a crosswalk to it, just FYI. For what it's worth.
Do you know how many other similar places there are in the Plymouth Township, Conshohocken area?
Unfortunately, I do not, because I work in tandem with our real estate team.
Yeah.
But I do not know the exact data, just because I deal with more of the design side of things. I know there are some, but there's not. Our real estate team does extreme due diligence of trying to understand the market and who's there and where the needs lie. So they've identified that there is need here, even though I know there are some, like the Blue Pearls, that are around.
Well, it's strategic, so I mean,
Yep.
convergence of so many highways and byways makes it accessible. Question on, is there any grass area for dogs that walk or anything like that?
In this shopping center, there's not like a specific dedicated area that, based on where we are in the shopping center, that seems to make sense. There are some landscape islands out in the parking area.
I mean, if the dogs are going to be outside in a mess or, they have a spot that they can, or is there going to be a cleaning crew? Or?
Yes. So we have 2 things. Is one that at all of our locations, we will put like a little doggy depot station right outside. You often see that out in front of the PetSmarts and things of that nature, where it has the bags for pickup, it has a trash can involved, and then our staff is extremely diligent about making sure that we are cleaned up after all medical and bio waste is picked up, it's bagged, and disposed of properly.
As far as the flow of the parking lot, that's a side issue, but I mean, is that going to be somewhat improved? Because that's been kind of choppy for years, as far as the parking and getting through like Dunkin' Donuts and people going all kinds of different directions back in there. That's a question you could probably answer better than Connor.
We did get site plan approval for modifications to the parking lot that I believe improved that.
I'm good.
Thank you. Greg? I don't think I have any questions. They've all been asked.
So you had mentioned there's overnight stay. Where in this plan would the overnight stay occur?
Sure. So any animal that is with us is housed in either a cage or a dog run. So on that plan, where you see kind of rectangles with like a crosshatch in them, those are animal housing areas. So that would be a cage. And then on that plan, there are 3 dog runs, which are for the larger dogs that might be under our care. They're rectangles. I think they're off of that main treatment space, and they have like a little, almost like an X, not quite a straight X through them, because they have floor drains in them to make them cleanable. Those would be the 3 dog runs for larger animal housing. And then we also have a quiet ward, which is often where cats are kept. And then an isolation ward for those patients that are sick with something like parvo or an upper respiratory infection, to keep them separate from the other animals that are in our care.
And you had said that you would only keep the animal as long as needed. Since this is emergency, How long would that be? I mean, I would anticipate the animal to come here if an overnight stay was needed in the morning, get transferred to another facility.
Correct. Whenever possible, we take care of the emergent need and then refer the patient back to their primary veterinarian. How long they stay, it varies from case to case. Some extreme cases, like, I don't know if you've ever had a dog that has parvo, but like, it's usually puppies, and it's very dangerous, and they might be under our care for a couple of days, right? But that's a rare instance. Most patients are with us for 4 to 6 hours, tops, and many patients that are easier, like I've taken my own dog to one of our facilities because she needed stitches, I was in and out in an hour and a half. So, the longer stay care, they can stay for up to a couple days if it's like extreme treatment, or if they had a surgery, they might stay for a 24-hour span after surgery to recover and us to monitor them and make sure that they're okay. But those, again, are not the norm. Most cases are more like urgent care, borderline emergency cases where they're in and out within a handful of hours.
Okay. Going back to the drugs on site and the fact that you're open 24/7 and that you're also at a very busy crossroads, including Turnpike Northeast Extension, 476, 76. We've all seen the element that's become active recently within the last 5 years or so. How is entry controlled, especially after hours?
Great question. You'll see that we have a vestibule on there. Because we are open 24 hours, the front door remains unlocked at all times. But that second vestibule door is locked at all times. And we have an intercom system set up with a video camera and a doorbell. And so the person steps into the vestibule, so they're outside, they're inside and away from the elements, but they cannot get past that second vestibule door unless someone lets them in or they are buzzed in. And so that is kind of how we control that piece of it. And then beyond that, again, once inside the facility, where we keep those drugs is not obvious, and then it's
Right.
behind a locked thing that you have to have a required fingerprint, a second witness, and all of that sort of thing to even get access to those drugs.
And is that second entry, is that reinforced? Is that to prevent somebody from coming in with a crowbar?
I mean, yeah, I mean, as much as anything else is reinforced, it's not like just a residential style hardware, it's commercial grade hardware that's keeping that door locked.
Dave, do you know if Chief has any comments on
I haven't
this?
heard any comments from
Okay.
council or anything.
Or if they would like a hot button or something to communicate?
I haven't heard anything yet,
Okay.
to be honest with you.
We'll leave that to the discretion of Chief, obviously, but...
I know they had a workshop meeting this past week, and they obviously reviewed all the zoning applications this month. I haven't heard anything, so usually no news is
Understood.
nothing. Yeah.
Understood. No, there's just been too much as of late.
We do install panic buttons at our doctor's island or reception type areas so
Okay.
that we, if something like that occurs,
Right.
they have underneath their
Good.
desk that panic button to hit.
Good.
That speaks to our security system.
And Plymouth has very good response time, so you shouldn't have any issues there, and you're right on the edge with White Marsh, and they're happy to share. I think that was all the questions I had. Joel, do you have anything? David, do you have anything?
Forgive me, I approved so many sign permits, but has signage been talked about yet or anything? I'm just looking at this one sketch here, and I'm just wondering, is that the signage that you're looking for? It looks like you're allowed roughly 54, 55 square feet of signage. And what you're proposing there looks like it would fit under roughly 10 by 4 square feet. So if that's what you're proposing, I'm just saying it would work.
Yeah,
So,
that
okay.
has been put together by our signage vendor.
Okay.
We have a national signage vendor that does all our signage permitting around the country.
Mm-hmm.
They would obviously submit that for final approval as a separate signage submission, but yes, that is currently what is.
Just submit this, you're good to go. That's all I'm going to say.
Good, great.
Is anyone in the audience in favor of the application? Is anyone in the audience opposed to the application? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the requested variance?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and I believe we have,
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Bill. I'm sure we'll be in touch with you.
Minutes?
December 16th, January 3rd, up there. Good luck. Thank you.
so we have two items left remaining before us. First is minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion to,
And approve the minutes, sorry.
go ahead, no, you got it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then the last item this evening is Mr. Dave Conroy.
I'm not on the agenda.
You are now. And
Wasn't on the agenda.
it turns out he's decided to move on, to do something different after 14 years. We greatly appreciate everything he's done for us and the township, and all of his hard work and everything he's done to keep everything afloat through the pandemic and everything else. There's a story you can tell your kids. So just wanted to say thank you.
Appreciate it.
Greatly appreciate it, sir.
Much appreciated.
Do we have a second?
Yes, please vote.
We'd also like to take this moment to welcome Joel. He has no idea how much fun he's in for, but he'll find out along
Yes,
the way.
fun.
Yeah, don't take tonight as an indication of future. Yeah.
Yeah, after every meeting, you go to Winston.
I'm gonna break him in, huh?
Yeah.
And with that, we are adjourned.
Okay.